we're starting off with the Bright Habit Tracker here, and you can see there's lots of colors and emojis and things to keep visual interest high. I'll also open up the Calm mode in another tab for you to see the difference. It's essentially the same layout, but just a little bit less stimulating, so we don't have quite as many different colors going on. Everything's a little bit more muted and teal. The pictures are a little bit less bright. There's just a little bit less visually to distract you if you're feeling in the mood for something that's just a little bit more chill. For today, though, I'm going to stick in bright mode and show you around because the layout is basically the same no matter which mode you use. So on the top left, we've got today's ledger, which is a record of everything that you log during the course of a day. This will automatically generate every morning for you to have a new card to log to. You don't need to manually create anything here, but if you are comfortable using Notion, then you can go in and you can edit this template design, you can change the image headers, you can do whatever you want to do to customize it. But out of the box, it's all set up for you. It's already automating and it will give you this view regardless. So if you're not very comfortable with it, don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything to get it to work. So the ledger will show you your food logs for the day. It'll also show you any habits that you've logged, and it'll show you how many points you've earned during the day as well. Beneath that, you've got a card showing your current progress. So this will show you what level you're at and the progress that you've made to your next level. It'll show you how many points you've got to spend on rewards. And if you're saving for anything, it'll remind you of what your goal is. And then there's a little reminder down here telling you whether you need to bank your points, which we'll talk about in a later video. And then over on the right is where we actually do all of the logging. So at the top, we've got our food log, which is 4 little toggle sections just to keep things neat and to stop it from getting too sprawling on the screen. Each of these toggle sections allows for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. You just log with natural language. There's no need to set up any menus or selection lists or anything to pick from. As you can see here for breakfast, I just logged as if I was writing it in a notepad. And it'll be much the same for my lunch. I'll just put down. So as soon as you write it here, it'll show up on your ledger and it will also give you points, which we'll go on to in a moment. The other section here is a little tick box next to the meal, which you select if you feel that your meal was particularly nourishing. Little sparkly checkbox. There's no rules or judgment from me about what nourishing means to you because that's going to look different to everyone. Maybe it means that you've had a meal that satisfies whatever eating plan you're on at the moment. Maybe it just means that you got some fruit or veg in. Maybe it means that you did more prep than eating straight out of a packet. You know, whatever satisfies that extra boost to you, then you go ahead and use it for that. If I were to select that my breakfast was particularly nourishing, it'll give me some little sparklies around the outside of my meal, and it'll also adjust the points that I've earned because you get an extra little boost of points for every nourishing meal that you have. You get points just for eating because frankly, eating at all is enough of an achievement for some of us. That is literally it for the meal planning section. It's super simple, but it just made sense to add as a feature because it just fits with the other kinds of habits that I was tracking. Below that then we have our actual habits catalog. There are 2 views available here depending on how you prefer seeing them. One of the views shows all of your habits grouped by category with these little menu cards, and then another shows just a longer list. You can sort this list however you like. I have it sorted based on my most frequent tasks at the top, just because it makes sense to me that way. The catalog is sorted and grouped by category. And these filter throughout the day, so as soon as you check off a task, if they can only be completed once, they'll disappear from the list. But if they are repeatable, they'll actually stay visible for you to track again. So for example, I brushed my teeth this morning, I'll log that now, and it has created a page, but it's still there. It's still available for me to log again tonight. However, I got dressed this morning, it's going to log it, and then that's going to go off. This is also lately my preferred way of logging just because it's a little bit more compact. And again, you can group and organize this any way that makes sense to you. You could even have this one, if you wanted to, you could group this one by category so that you'd end up with very much the same as the previous screen. It's just a little bit more, perhaps a little bit more compact and a little bit more like what you might want to use. But I like having it organized so that it's all of my most frequent tasks at the top because then often I'm just coming in and going, yeah, well, these are becoming more habit-like for me now. So I've actually done these. Yeah, and then throughout the day, I'll come back through And I'll check off any more that are completed as I go along. And you'll see as I've been checking these off, my points earned today has been increasing. The amount of points that I earn for each habit will depend on how difficult I have it set and whether or not it's repeatable during the day. We'll talk about that a bit when we go in to have a look at the system view. Literally, all you need to do to log your habits is to log it here on the day that you've completed. If you need to log a habit on another day, then you will use the late logging screen. The late log has its own little layout here. It's a little bit more minimalistic, and it just has a view of the last week of tracker cards so that you can come in and check and see if there's anything missing. So for example, if I missed something off yesterday, I could open up yesterday's journal here and I can put in anything that I forgot to log. And also check my habits and say I'd forgotten to log one yesterday. Let's say my midday reset. So I'll come down, find the habit that I want. I'll click late log and that'll open up its own page. Here, all I need to really make sure is that these two properties are set. As long as these are set, then everything else will work. So I'll set it to yesterday, and then I'll make sure that I link it to yesterday's ledger, like so. And that's literally it. That's the log done. And then when I come back to yesterday's ledger, I can see midday reset is there and the points will have adjusted as well. It's super forgiving and it's just designed for the fact that you are going to forget things sometimes, and that is okay. And I'd rather have a system put in place to help support that rather than having a system that ends up punishing and shaming us and making us not even want to use it to begin with. Also available here is our mobile screen, which doesn't look great on PC, but on mobile it's much better. It's just a simplified vertical log. And here things are, again, just in the list form because it just looks a lot better on the phone and it's a lot easier to use. You can have this favorited maybe on your sidebar so that when you're on your phone, you can just come in, really quickly log everything you need, and it's done and dusted. In the next section, we'll go on to talk about the rewards shop and how you can spend the points that you've been earning in the habit tracker. I'll see you there.